A young army officer steps forward on Libyan radio.com. Voice, measured tone, no crown, no palace, no bloodline of kings. And yet, within hours, Libya would no longer be a monarchy. It would belong to him. His name was Muammar Gaddafi, and he believed history had chosen him. He was born in 1942 in a Bedouin tent near Sirte in the Libyan desert. No privilege, no elite education abroad, no aristocratic upbringing. He grew up under the rule of King Idris I, a monarch many Libyans saw as distant and weak, deeply tied to Western powers. But young Gaddafi saw something more: humiliation, foreign military bases on Libyan soil, oil contracts benefiting outsiders, a country rich in resources, yet politically fragile. The desert shaped him, harsh, unforgiving, independent. As a teenager, he became obsessed with Arab nationalism. One man influenced him more than any other: Gamal Abdel Nasser. Nasser had defied the West, nationalized the Suez Canal, spoken of Arab unity. To Gaddafi, he was proof that a single determined leader could reshape destiny, and so he joined the military, not for rank, but for opportunity. On September 1, 1969, while King Idris was abroad, Gaddafi and a small group of officers launched a bloodless coup. No massive battles, no civil war, just speed and coordination. By dawn, Libya had changed forever. At 27 years old, Gaddafi became the de facto ruler of an oil-rich nation. He did not declare himself president. He rejected traditional titles. Instead, he called himself the brotherly leader and guide of the revolution. It was not just a coup, it was an ideological experiment. In the early years, many supported him. He expelled foreign military bases, nationalized oil assets, redistributed wealth, invested in infrastructure, education, and healthcare. Living standards rose. For a time he appeared to be exactly what he claimed, a revolutionary liberator. But revolutions rarely remain simple. Gaddafi did not believe in Western democracy. He claimed parliaments were lies, elections were manipulation, political parties were corruption disguised as choice. So he wrote his own ideology in a small green book. The Green Book outlined his political philosophy, a system he called the Third Universal Theory, neither capitalism nor communism, but something uniquely his, at least in theory. In practice, power became centralized, criticism disappeared, opposition dissolved, public executions were broadcast, secret police networks expanded. The man who had spoken of liberation began tightening control, and yet, internationally, he positioned himself as a global disruptor. He funded revolutionary movements abroad, supported anti-Western causes, challenged global superpowers. Some called him a freedom fighter, others called him a sponsor of terror, but everyone knew his name. The desert officer had transformed into a symbol, unpredictable, charismatic, dangerous, but his greatest conflicts were still ahead. Because challenging regional rivals was one thing, challenging the United States was another. And soon, Libya would find itself facing the most powerful nation on earth. He seized power in a bloodless coup, a young, charismatic officer vowing to free Libya from foreign influence. For over 4 decades, Muammar Gaddafi was a name that echoed across the globe, synonymous with revolution, controversy, and immense oil wealth. But how did this self-proclaimed brotherly leader go from a regional hero to an international pariah, ultimately meeting a brutal end at the hands of his own people? Born in a desert tent in 1942, Gaddafi's early life was steeped in Bedouin tradition and a growing sense of Arab nationalism. In 1969, at just 27 years old, he led a group of officers to overthrow King Idris, establishing the Libyan Arab Republic. Initially, he was hailed as a visionary. He nationalized the oil industry, using the profits to fund ambitious social programs. Literacy rates soared, and access to healthcare and housing improved dramatically for many Libyans. His Green Book outlined a unique political philosophy, a third way between capitalism and communism, which he called Jamahiriya, or state of the masses. But beneath the revolutionary rhetoric, a darker side emerged. Gaddafi's rule became increasingly autocratic and repressive. Political dissent was crushed, opponents were eliminated, and his revolutionary committees enforced a strict and often violent social order. His foreign policy was just as volatile. He positioned himself as a champion of anti-imperialist movements, funding revolutionary groups from Ireland to the Philippines. This support, however, often crossed the line into state-sponsored terrorism. The 1980s marked a turning point. Libya became a pariah state, implicated in a series of terrorist attacks, most notoriously the 1988 bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland, which killed 270 people. The world responded with crippling sanctions, isolating Libya and devastating its economy. Gaddafi, once a symbol of Arab pride, was now seen as a dangerous rogue. By the early 2000s, seeking to end his isolation, Gaddafi began a surprising pivot. He renounced terrorism, dismantled his weapons of mass destruction programs, and began to mend ties with the West. It seemed as though the old revolutionary had finally mellowed, trading his military fatigues for flamboyant robes and a bizarre entourage of female bodyguards. But this was merely a fragile truce. When the Arab Spring swept across the Middle East in 2011, it found fertile ground in a Libya simmering with decades of frustration. Protests erupted in Benghazi and quickly spread. Gaddafi's response was swift and brutal, vowing to hunt down the rats and cockroaches, challenging his rule. His threats of a massacre prompted a NATO-led military intervention. For months, Libya was plunged into a bloody civil war. Despite his military's superior firepower, Gaddafi's forces were pushed back. In August 2011, rebels stormed his compound in Tripoli, symbolically toppling the regime. Gaddafi himself fled, but his time was running out. On October 20th, he was captured by rebel fighters hiding in a drainage pipe in his hometown of Sirte. The final moments of his life were chaotic and violent, captured on shaky mobile phone footage that was broadcast around the world. The fall of Muammar Gaddafi ended 42 years of eccentric and brutal rule. He left behind a legacy that is incredibly complex, a nation lifted from poverty but also plunged into fear, a revolutionary who became a tyrant, and a country rich in oil but fractured by his legacy. The power vacuum he left behind has led to years of instability and conflict, a stark reminder that the end of a dictator is often just the beginning of a new, uncertain chapter. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into history's most fascinating figures. For more than 4 decades, Muammar Gaddafi had ruled Libya. He survived coups, he survived American airstrikes, he survived sanctions and isolation. But what he could not survive was his own people. The wave began in Tunisia. When protests forced President Zine El Abidine Ben Ali to flee, something shifted across North Africa. In Egypt, millions filled the streets. President Hosni Mubarak stepped down. The Arab Spring had begun, and Libya was next. In February 2011, protests erupted in Benghazi. At first, they were small, localized, manageable. But Libya was not Egypt. There were no structured political parties, no unified opposition movement. Decades of repression had fragmented society. When demonstrations spread, the regime responded with force, live ammunition, arrests, air power. Gaddafi did not step back. He escalated. On state television, he appeared defiant, ranting, furious, unapologetic. He called the protesters rats, promised to cleanse Libya house by house. He believed fear would restore control. For decades, it had worked. But this time was different. Armed rebellion formed quickly in eastern Libya. Military units defected. Cities fell out of government control. The conflict shifted from protest to civil war. The world watched closely, because Libya was not just another state. It was strategically positioned and unstable. As Gaddafi's forces advanced toward Benghazi, international alarm intensified. The United Nations authorized intervention. In March 2011, a NATO coalition began airstrikes against Libyan government forces. Among the leading voices pushing for action was Barack Obama. The official justification: protect civilians. But the result was clear. Libya's military advantage evaporated. Government convoys were bombed. Air defenses dismantled. Momentum shifted. Tripoli, the capital, fell in August 2011. Rebel fighters flooded the city. Gaddafi's compound was overrun. The man who once presented himself as Africa's King of Kings vanished. For weeks, his location was unknown. Audio messages surfaced, defiant, angry, insisting victory was near. But the regime was collapsing. Allies fled. Security dissolved. Fear no longer worked. On October 20th, 2011, near his hometown of Sirte, Gaddafi's convoy was struck by NATO aircraft. He attempted to escape. He was captured by rebel fighters. Mobile phone cameras recorded the final moments. Chaotic, brutal, uncontrolled. The man who ruled for 42 years died in a drainage pipe, not in exile, not in a palace, but in the dust of a collapsing state. The images spread globally within hours. For some, it was justice. For others, it was a warning. But the most critical question was not about Gaddafi's death. It was about what came next. Because removing a dictator is one thing, replacing a system built around one man is another. And Libya had no blueprint for what followed. Power fractured. Militias multiplied. Foreign actors intervened. The revolution had succeeded, but stability did not follow. The desert revolutionary had fallen, but in his place came something unpredictable. A nation divided. Armed groups competing for control. Oil fields contested. Governments overlapping. The man who once claimed to embody the state was gone, and Libya was left to redefine itself. In 2011, the world watched as Muammar Gaddafi's 42-year rule over Libya came to a dramatic end. For a moment, it seemed like the dawn of a new era. People celebrated in the streets, filled with hope for a democratic republic. But that hope quickly faded, and what followed was over a decade of chaos, division, and conflict. The dream of a unified, stable Libya shattered into 1,000 pieces. So, what went so horribly wrong? The moment Gaddafi was gone, a massive power vacuum opened up. The various revolutionary brigades that had fought to overthrow him, did UNT just lay down their arms and go home? Instead, they held on to their weapons and carved out their own territories. These militias, each with their own local loyalties and ambitions, became the new power players. The central government, weak and ineffective, couldn't control them. Tripoli became a patchwork of neighborhoods controlled by different armed groups. By 2014, the situation had deteriorated into a full-blown second civil war. The country split into two rival governments, one in the east based in Tobruk and backed by General Khalifa Haftar's Libyan National Army, and the other, in the west, the internationally recognized Government of National Accord, or GNA, in Tripoli. This wasn't just a local conflict. Foreign powers quickly picked sides, pouring in weapons, money, and mercenaries. Countries like the UAE, Egypt, and Russia backed Haftar, while Turkey and Qatar supported the GNA. Libya became a proxy battleground for regional rivalries. At the heart of this struggle was Libya's most valuable asset, its vast oil reserves, the largest in Africa. Controlling the oil fields and ports meant controlling the nation's wealth and its future. The fighting often centered around this oil crescent, with production constantly disrupted, crippling the economy for ordinary Libyans who faced cash shortages, power cuts, and soaring prices. After years of brutal fighting, a ceasefire was signed in late 2020, leading to a new interim government of national unity. It was a fragile step towards peace, meant to guide the country to elections. But those elections were postponed indefinitely, and the political divisions remained deeper than ever. Today, Libya is still a fractured nation. While the large-scale fighting has subsided, the country remains divided, with two competing administrations once again vying for legitimacy. The militias still hold significant power, foreign fighters haven't all left, and the path to a truly stable and unified state is fraught with challenges. The story of post-Gaddafi Libya is a sobering lesson in how the fall of a dictator doesn't automatically lead to freedom and stability. The journey to rebuild a nation from the ashes of autocracy and civil war is a long and difficult one. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into world events.